Call of Duty just dropped some data that their open matchmaking made players quit matches by up to 141% compared to standard. Now, on paper, their new matchmaking now looks like a massive win for ping and lobby times, but I think we need a bit more data to really understand what's going on. There's still gaps in the puzzle, and that's led to quite a bit of controversy erupting overnight on social media about what could be happening with the matchmaking going into the Modern Warfare beta in just a couple of days' time. The team started by stating that the initial batch of data that they've collected based on testing this new matchmaking method for Modern Warfare 4 versus the old system is showing strong improvements. They're saying that players are sticking around for longer and playing more matches. Since Season 5 of Black Ops 7, that's the game that they're using to conduct this test, quit rates are down across every skill group, and for more than half of the players, their quit rate dropped by 41%. They're saying that the search times are down as well versus Season 4 of Black Ops 7, with pings for lobbies improving too. They do also mention, though, that the time of day, location, and your connection still impact your experience most of all. So I want to pull this apart a little bit. First of all, let's take players are sticking around for longer and playing more matches. Okay. How much longer for, and on average, how many more matches are they playing? Is it like 10 minutes and one match? Or is it 2 hours and 10 or 12 matches? Next, quit rates are down across every skill group, and for more than half of players, they dropped 41%. This is quite an interesting statement because it mentions all skill groups. So instead of just the super good players, and then the beginners, we've also got the average players in there filling out all those different lobbies. This combines everybody. They're not just talking about the best players in the game. And I think this has been added to sort of highlight that their new system is clearly more to the liking of better, more engaged players, as those are the ones who tend to talk about the issues that we're discussing right now. Search times are also down versus Season 4, plus average ping has improved too. Okay, again, by how much? Are we talking like 5, 10, 15 seconds less to find a match? 30 seconds less to find a match? And are we talking like 5 ping, 10 ping, 20 ping improvements in lobbies found? We don't know. We're missing important data here, and all we've got is a statement that doesn't really help us properly understand or quantify the supposed improvement of this new matchmaking system. The team then goes on to explain that open matchmaking is liked by some players, but that it causes its own issues. They say that for 80% of players from launch to Season 4 of Black Ops 7, open versus standard matchmaking, those players saw a 32.7% higher quit rate, 14.4% less kills per minute in matches, 5.3% lower win rates, and a 59.2% more less fun match rating in the little surveys given after each match. So that increased by nearly 60%. And then they say that in the Nuketown 24/7 playlist specifically, quit rates hit 141%, with the most competitive players, i.e. the ones with the higher skill levels, they're quitting 1 in every 3 matches that they play. They say that quit rates skyrocketed and disrupted every skill group from the highest to the lowest. So looking at this data, you could actually point out that this is for 80% of Black Ops 7 players. So there's 20% of players who had a better or more favorable experience using open matchmaking, if I'm reading that correctly. That means with them pushing on and using a new system in Modern Warfare 4 versus open matchmaking that they've been testing in Black Ops 7 alongside it, around 20% of players are likely to have a worse experience with the new matchmaker. You flip it around the other way because the entire process has been in pursuit of making a new, better matchmaking system for everybody. But here, there's 20% of players not benefiting from moving to that new system because they had a better experience in open matchmaking. So just keep that number in mind. 20% of players might actually have a worse experience with the new matchmaking. There's also a statement here on disbanding lobbies, something that Call of Duty has implemented for a number of years now, and it's something that players, certain players, don't really like for the game. It strips the game of that community feeling, that rivalry that you could have against someone else on the other team, because by design, the games now disband your lobby when a match finishes and then creates a new one every single time. So you're not going to have the same players in a lobby match to match. Here, they say that 50% of players leave after the first match, and then by game 3, almost none of the original lobby actually remains. So that's their reasoning for having disbanding lobbies, because people leave all the time anyway, so why would we keep a lobby together when we could just make a new one? And they go on to say that backfilling lobbies that are persistent, that stay together, takes longer, and starting a fresh lobby would be better because then they can reprioritize ping again and get you a better connection. Because as they always say, ping is king. Well, here I actually think that you can immediately point out that if 50% of players leave after the first match, well then 50% of players aren't leaving as well. So that's like a 50-50 split. And surely that means just as many people who wanted to leave the lobby also wanted to stay in the lobby. So do you really want to make key lobby decisions based on what is a 50-50 split? That doesn't really seem advisable to me. They go on to state definitively that Modern Warfare 4's matchmaking will not be a return to the tighter matchmaking of recent games, and that connection, e.g. ping, remains the top priority for them. And they state that every Call of Duty has had matchmaking that considers skill, including Black Ops 1 and 2. Now, I think they've mentioned Black Ops 1 and 2 here because of the ports for PlayStation. They came out recently, and they're sort of addressing the differences in matchmaking being observed between those games and the more recent Call of Duties. However, I think it's going to be almost certain that over time, the way skill was considered or even implemented in those older Call of Duty matchmaking systems would be different to how it's being used today. A lot of older Call of Duties used to feel like teams were balanced against one another because those lobbies were persistent and they didn't disband, and that balance would feel different to today, where matchmaking, based on all the different variables that Call of Duty now uses, it sort of cherry picks people out of the pool of players who are matchmaking and then dumps similar players in a lobby together. That's two very different ways of getting matches going. One gets a lobby together ASAP and then balances out the teams within that lobby. The other appears to single out players specifically and put them all in a lobby together. I think this is a big issue because there's a difference between what we're being told or have been told several times in the past and what things actually feel like when you're playing the game. It might well now be the truth that ping is king, like it seemingly used to be in old Call of Duties like COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2, but there is some community evidence to support that that's not quite the case anymore, and I think we can all say that we've had experiences where connection and ping clearly hasn't been prioritized is part of our matchmaking. We've joined into lobbies where the ping is terrible, the connection is terrible, and we really have no business being in that lobby. I think adding the part about Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 matchmaking to the statement, having skill considered, it feels a bit like a false equivalency to me, because we know matchmaking today isn't the same as it was back in 2010. I think maybe they're adding it just to clarify that skill was considered, but by saying skill was considered, that leaves it open to interpretation as to how, or maybe the statement is trying to say that skill is considered in the same way, which I don't believe it is. The team goes on to state that work on this new matchmaking system isn't complete, it will keep going, and they will be implementing it into the Modern Warfare beta, but they'll be adding it alongside open matchmaking as well, so they can keep learning from the data that they collect from both different types of matchmaking. They say that their top players are facing tougher competition with this new matchmaking, but they're quitting less overall. And I think this is their ultimate priority. They just want to keep you playing the game as long as possible. So, if we look at this from a sort of a wider view, here's what I think the new matchmaker is trying to do. It's going to continue to protect the lower skill brackets in the game by giving them the kind of matchmaking that they like, but it's also going to provide a system that satisfies the top players. And they've already said they're facing tougher competition, yes, but apparently these people are quitting less, so it does seem like they've made a positive change. But matchmaking is the whole key to the puzzle, because if you get people playing the game more and spending more time in game, they'll enjoy the game obviously by playing it more. That increases the chances that somebody spends additional money on the game, like buying a battle pass or buying bundles from the store. But I'm still not sure the new system is going to be exactly what everyone wants it to be. If we've got open matchmaking all the way down on the left-hand side of a massive long bar, and then we've got this new, or we've got the old matchmaking system, let's say from 2019 and Black Ops Cold War, all the way up the other end, This new matchmaking system for Modern Warfare 4 is going to be somewhere in the middle of those 2 points, and I've got a funny feeling it's still going to lean more towards the 2019 and Black Ops Cold War and Vanguard matchmaking that people seem to really dislike. Now, the final part to this controversy is actually the follow-up tweet from Call of Duty. They came back out later in the day and they tweeted this: "We asked for feedback and you definitely gave it to us, and that's what a beta is for. So jump in, play the game, and help us make it even better. We'll be here online and in your lobbies, improving as we go. Matchmaking isn't just data, it's a feeling. So jump in, feel it for yourself in beta. Our only goal remains getting you fast, fun matches quickly that you want to play, so keep the feedback coming." That's actually a very interesting statement, because all of the thread beforehand that we've just spoken about focused very much on the data and the testing they'd done, and then the product they've produced, this new matchmaking system, is all based on that data. Decisions they're taking for this new matchmaking system appear to be very much focused on all of that testing and data. Well, this statement now feels like a bit of a climb down, because it directly mentions that matchmaking can have a feeling to it, which is what a lot of players have been saying for years. You might have the data to prove that this matchmaker is better for the health of the game and the majority of players, but in many scenarios, it just doesn't feel like it. And here now, finally, we get a mention that feeling may come into decisions made in the future. So to sort of sum this all up here, I don't think this has played out particularly well for Call of Duty, especially right on the eve of the Modern Warfare 4 beta. It probably could have been handled a bit better. I think they went in hard with the data testing side for this new matchmaking, and they wanted to implement it and sort of tell people how it's going to be better. And despite that being the kind of transparency that players have been asking about for quite some time, I don't think they considered the impact of simply stating what's about to happen, because it is going to happen, whether players like it or not, and what the impact would be on players who clearly feel quite strongly about the subject anyway. Ultimately, we're just going to have to play the Modern Warfare 4 beta and see how the matchmaking feels and how it performs, see if it does produce more fun matches versus the sweat fest that we've had for the last 5 or 6 years. And it's only a day or so to go until the Modern Warfare beta, so jump in when you can, leave your thoughts down below in the comments, drop a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.